My overall impression is that it doesn't give an accurate portrayal of the subjects. It doesn't give both sides of the issue. It presents a Bible that's perfectly established by archaeology, which is false, and a Book of Mormon that is totally refuted by archaeology, which is also false. So it creates a simplistic and on the whole, fairly disingenuous picture.
Distinctly unimpressed with it, but the basic reason was that it had the illusion of giving you some scholarly information without actually doing it. It made things seem that they were answering certain questions or providing certain types of information when actually it wasn't as accurate as it ought to have been. So there were too many places in it where it was much more illusion than reality, that it was much less scholarship and much more showmanship.
They hold the Book of Mormon to claims that it doesn't make. They suppress LDS arguments on behalf of the Book of Mormon. It's not really you can't rely on this as an accurate picture of the situation.
Without looking or examining any of the scholarship on the Bible, they will present information about the Bible as though this is uncontroversial. And then they'll talk about the Book of Mormon where they don't begin with that particular assumption. So the Bible starts with the assumption that's correct, and they start with the Book of Mormon with the assumption that it's incorrect. They start with the assumption that everything is correct, accurate, and true and uncontroversial in the Bible, and assume that everything is incorrect, untrue, and completely controversial for the Book of Mormon.
There's no serious engagement in this film with any evidence on behalf of the Book of Mormon. They create a caricature, a straw man, which is easy to shoot down, easy to destroy, but it's also not true to life.
Pretty much they were discussing and arguing with what I would call popular culture ideas about the Book of Mormon that have to be at least 50 years old. They've missed scholarship within the last 50 years. Oh, I certainly doubt that. I'd be shocked if they did. I would expect that they have some passing acquaintance with it, whether their acquaintance came just because they had heard something or because whoever was doing the film gave them a little bit of information. I really couldn't tell you, but it certainly wouldn't be surprising that they had a passing acquaintance. Now, would they have had a good acquaintance with the best arguments, with the way that we understand the text, the most recent information that's been done within, let's say, the last 20 years? No, I sincerely doubt that they would have known that. There were a lot of very honest people who were telling you know, for instance, all of the archaeologists from Israel, absolutely honest in what they were saying, absolutely truthful in what they're saying. It wasn't what they said, it was the implication that was made from what they said. It is very easy to take true statements and put them in such contexts that even though they are true, they seem to say something that they may not. And that's what was happening with those archaeologists. Those archaeologists know a lot about Israel. I didn't see any of them that knew a heck of a lot about the New World. When you make too many assumptions about the New World based on the Old World, you make a lot of mistakes because it's a very, very different animal when you cross the ocean.
My experience with these people is that they, for example, want to establish what Christianity means by quoting specific proof texts from the New Testament, ignoring the Old. And when they quote from the New Testament, they quote usually Paul. They'll quote things like Paul talking about being saved by grace, being saved by our faith in Christ. They don't quote Jesus even, because Jesus is the one who tells them what commandments they're supposed to obey. Actually, it's comical in a way. I mean, to me, it's comical, and it would be comical, I suppose, to everybody if it weren't for the fact that, unfortunately, these people do influence others to not look into the restored church and its scriptures. Most of the criticisms leveled against the Book of Mormon actually were already in place in the period of 1832 to 34, when some of the major anti-Mormon books came out. And for some reason, they're still being used. You know, I would be embarrassed if I were from one of these anti-Mormon ministries, but they continue to use things that have long since been disproved. But the one thing is sure, they never keep up on the scholarship about the Book of Mormon. They do not have a clue. In fact, they try to dissuade people from even reading things. They'll say, oh, don't read anything put out by farms. Those guys aren't real scholars. When some of them find out that, oh yes, we are real scholars, we do publish in non-LDS scholarly venues. We publish with the Society of Biblical Literature, the Pontifical Biblical Institute, and other such non-LDS scholarly venues. Then they say, oh, okay, they are scholars, but only when they're not writing about the Book of Mormon.